How are you guys doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, it's okay. I'm late all the time.
It's, John, the other John might join us later, but then, yeah.
There's John M on the screen.
That's John
No.
McNally.
You got John K.
Oh.
John K has a thing he has to do, but he'll be back later soon. Or he'll be back later, maybe.
I
Also...
won't be able to stay too late tonight.
What?
I won't be able to stay too late tonight.
Okay. Also, Charlotte is quitting this game.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you okay, Bailey?
Yeah, I've just got the same cough I've always got.
She's got the coof.
It's not the Rona. It's, COPD. So.
No.
Okay, well, let me go find the
One's
game
not
book.
as fashionable as the other, though.
What?
One is not as fashionable as the other.
Fashionable?
Fashionable.
I still didn't. What?
Fashionable.
What do you mean?
Like, one's in fashion, the other's just, COPD.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, last game you guys went back to August's place. Kara, you left your bones at August's lab. You went to Thundersgrem. They gave Spike a receipt for his scroll of ice storm. They burned Cat's Devilgrass, but you guys went to Henry, met him and everything. You went and saw James, and Ilmater came into James's body and copied Laurel. You guys left off that day, day 377, at about noon. You're just outside of King James's hospital room or whatever. And yeah, August kind of paused to tell you that was what happened, was that Ilmater came to possess James for real, which he does occasionally because James is strong enough to actually hold a god inside of him. Who would have thunk? But that's where you guys are. So what would you do immediately then? You're still extremely deep inside the castle, etc.
Oh boy, I remember this. Oh boy. I think we were asked to go out, right? We go out of the room.
Yeah, or I'd say, yeah, you guys go outside the room, and as soon as August kind of tells you this cool thing about James, then Cat and Spike disappear.
And then fall back in.
Or wasn't Fel? Oh yeah, and then Fel, you appear. You don't know what's happening. You're just, you Fel appear from where you disappeared in a tavern a while. You were in a tavern in Golgari, and then you come back, and only Kara is here, and you're in just a long, kind of dark gray stone hallway in front of a door with several locks on it. August is here, Kara is here. That's all you know.
Well,
I'm like, oh hey, Phil, you missed the part where we get here, but
Yeah, also, this hallway really isn't tall enough for you to comfortably stand. You are kind of brushing your head against the rock of the ceiling, but... And so is August, but...
fantastic. Get here. Where is here?
we in Thundersgrem, right?
Yes.
We get in. We met King James, right? James.
Or Henry is the...
Sorry.
Younger one. King James is his father.
Sorry, I got my name messed up. So we didn't want to tell them anything. We're waiting for you to come in before.
August is standing right next to you.
Oh,
Okay.
right. we're just waiting for you to come here to make the last decision about what we're gonna tell. But so far, we give the laurel to King James to see if it can help him with the madness, and apparently, it did something. So Kara doesn't know anything about magic because she was like, "Oh, it does crazy things."
Well, like, what does crazy things?
The laurel, the what is it? The god name? Pan laurel.
Yeah,
So,
Pan's laurel.
August asked us like, okay, can we tell him we might be able to help King James, so that our August take us here, and then we give King James the laurel to see if it helped, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
What do you mean what happened? Like, what crazy things? Like, what specifically?
Bailey, can you describe that again for him? I think you would describe it better.
So he got possessed.
Yeah, so I guess this would be you telling him this, Kara.
Yes.
And I guess August would also supply information, but he says that so August handed James the laurel to look at it, and then while James is looking at it, his eyes turned white, and he spoke plain English, or plain common, I guess, and the room started kind of buzzing with power because a god was in the room with you. While he was inside of James's body, and then after digging through a box that James had and taking out a different kind of circlet, Ilmater apparently copied whatever kind of magic was on the Pan laurel into whatever crown this is, and then gave the laurel back to Spike, and now King James is in the process of attuning to the laurel to see if it helps.
Nope. Okay.
And King Henry's inside the room with him, just chilling for a moment. But yeah.
And I believe that the Almeida, right?
Yeah.
Almeida said this might work.
Yeah. Or I think his exact words were like, "This might do something." I don't remember exactly what he said, but yeah.
Right. I think you said it might work. And
at the very least, it might help.
Yeah, and then the whole thing happened. And we were deciding to know what happened next. I might want to tell you too that King Henry. Oh, I don't know. You out of the game might know this. This place is like cold, right? Outside of this Thundersgrem is like covered with ice.
Yeah, outside of the kind of bubble that Thundersgrem is in, it's above the cold line. So outside of the bubble is -20, like it is everywhere else above that line.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm still wearing summer clothes.
I mean, inside the city it's fine, but it's like a probably 50s, 60s, 70s all the time.
Yeah.
Question: I heard this place is exceptionally anti-magic. Do I need to get brisked?
August's gonna kind of nod upon your entry and say, "Yeah, we might head back by the gates just so they can check you out or whatever. I'll be real with you though, Fel. If you have anything that you want me to hold on to, I don't know what you have, but anything kind of crazy, I can hold on to it for you because they don't check me, so."
I just, I ask Rover to hop into my bag of holding, and just, Rover, the big book is still in the bag of holding, and whatever tablet, fantasy AT&T stuff I've been working on.
You tell August that you have the book.
I tell him that I have some trippy shit.
He says, yeah, if it's, or I think August would go through the, kind of rules of Thunder, or actually he'll be like, how about we just kind of go through again? But you've shown him the book before, right?
No, I have shown the Pan people the book.
But did y'all tell August about it?
I honestly don't remember.
We didn't because last time you were not here.
Right, or so you haven't shown it to him in person, but I believe you guys have mentioned the spell before.
Yes, we did mention that.
Okay. I think August's gonna say, I don't know what y'all's plans are for the book, and because we haven't run it by Henry yet, I actually would advise handing that to me, because it was made kind of by a god, and so they're gonna look into it, and then it's gonna kind of be a public matter before we're kind of ready for that.
Yeah, but does he know the, look at Kara and, like, did you guys tell him, like, you know, the extent of what Pan's plan is? Pan's plan.
No, we're waiting for you to come back.
I think,
So
did you guys not even mention the sacrifices thing?
Oh, we did mention the sacrifice, but like making a bargain with Henry, we didn't.
Right, no, because you talked about, okay, I'm looking at my notes now.
Yeah.
Y'all talked about how it would require 10,000 people. Taco, if you quit messing with shit, I'm gonna kill you, or at least take you away. I'm fucking tired of your shit.
Oh my god.
I'm having a rough day. You mentioned to August that there might be like 10,000 deaths or whatever, and that's when he kind of mentioned that because James has kind of an unlimited power thing, maybe there was a thread there of possibly using whatever James's power has instead of souls. And that was a shot in the dark kind of spaghetti at the wall thing, but he did mention that was a possibility. And then, what was the other question? I already forgot because I yelled at my cat.
Does he know the specifics of, you know, Pan's plan?
Yeah, I think y'all told him, or Spike told him.
Yes, I think we did tell him about that. Yeah, but we didn't make any like further bargain about the god thing. Like, we didn't tell Henry about he can be a god or anything. We didn't say any of that. We didn't say any of that.
Right, so y'all didn't say any of that, but you did talk to August about the Pan thing, and then that's why August said, if you let me borrow the laurel, I'll give you an audience with Henry, pretty much. Yeah.
I think important note to fail, Henry is extremely sick. He is weak and he's coughing blood. The whole like Thundersgrem went through a pandemic.
Yeah, which I'll be real with y'all. I came up with that, last December, and now it's extremely relevant that there's a.
We blame you, Bailey, for this thing.
Right.
It's all your fault.
I'm an oracle. Yes.
Yeah. So he's extremely sick, and the pandemic transmitted through animals, so they kill a lot of animals to get rid of it. But he's still suffering from the aftermath of the disease. So here we are. We have another. May I say, another chip in our. How do you say that?
I was about to say. Here, I think as soon as you get kind of fell in the room.
I'm gonna say this in quiet. I'm not gonna say.
No. Let me finish the sentence and then I'll tell you.
Sorry.
Come on. Yeah, you go to. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so after Fel kind of reappears and you guys have a conversation about how he needs to go through the thing, and August recommends that you give the book to him because otherwise the guards are going to read it. He is like, I'm going to go back in there and see how they're doing, and he goes back in the hospital room and leaves you guys in the hallway.
Great.
So you can speak freely now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. I was like, I'm going to call him on the side.
Yeah.
And talk about it.
Alright, now you're alone. What do you say?
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna tell him. Like, Henry is gonna be sick, and we might offer him a way to like get better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of things to bargain with whatever we have.
Basically, ascending to godhood would fix all his problems and cement his legacy as a king forever.
And get rid of the coal thing, because his city is literally like in the middle of the ice.
True, but at the same time, it's also their greatest defense as well.
Hey, there's one more thing. John, I need you to work really, really, really hard not to metagame. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any basic study of the map will show you, like, if this is in a bubble that's, self-contained.
I know. I'm just putting it out there. Because it's your first time with Fel and Thundersgrem.
Fair point.
I don't remember anything.
So it'll be easy for you. Or you don't remember anything from last game? Or...
I came in the middle of the game, so I was just going with the team last game, so...
Yeah.
I remember some part of it, but not, like, in depth of, like, how the city defends itself or anything like that.
Right.
But I mean, Phil is a wizard and he's intelligent, so maybe he can make that conclusion.
No, that's not what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
You could make that conclusion. I'm just saying for future reference as you guys continue with this episode. Yeah.
Okay. So I would tell Phil, like, depends on what transpire in there, like what is the result, and we can plan further, I guess.
I mean, I've never met this guy, so I'd at least like to talk to him first, at the very least about the pan plan, just so I can feel out like what options what route we should take into negotiating with him.
Also, if we help King James become less, crazy, then we might be in his good graces. He might trust us.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps.
And other things, he might agree to whatever we have to say, or if he need more from us, we can do his bidding for a while until we gain his trust, and then we can do other things.
I mean, I'm not down for doing, another king's bidding. But at the very least, ingratiate ourselves or something like that. But then again, if we come at him with, the whole other angle, like, we ingratiate ourselves just to gain your trust so we could, pull one over on you, he's going to interpret it as betrayal.
Man, last time I was talking to Kat about how she can use her vision as the reason instead of we come from another place to say this, because Kat would be great because she just have a vision, like she can tell the king her vision and would have nothing to do with us, and it still worked out so much better.
I mean, you could still tell him, like, hey, our friend Kat who's gone had this, but...
Oh, True, yeah, that's what I was thinking, like, just don't reveal the plan that we have, but use Kat, like, vision as like, oh, we have all these methods.
There's that, with Kat's vision, that means there's like 3 prophecies of godhood in this guy's future.
Yes, and Kat is from here, so there's no way she is a traitor, a spy, or whatever. Yeah, we can do that.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, we can't just, let's feel the guy out first and see how,
Yeah, we need to go back and see what is transpiring there and what has been done. What has happened.
Yeah. Also, I need to hand over my bag of holding with all my, do you think they'll have an issue with my, clearly enchanted rifle?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but, so you guys, I guess, knock on the door or something, and then,
It's okay.
What was it?
I'm just saying, is August outside? I mean, if outside, we're not gonna barge in there. We're gonna follow August.
No, he went back in the room to give you guys a second to talk.
Okay.
But, if you guys knock on the door, they'll let you back in. Or I guess before you go all the way, August will warn you to Fel. He's not going to catch you up all the way, but he's going to say the deal with King James's madness is that he hears any kind of, like, speech or, like, word communication as he hears the Maw is coming. Which, I don't know if you know what the Maw is, but he doesn't like hearing that over and over and over again for the last 10 years. So just don't speak aloud in this room. We're not going to be here for not going to be here for a long time, but just another moment. And so he leads you back into the room, and you come into a, like, small hospital room. There's not a window, there's not any kind of, like, vents other than the ones that are in the door, just like fresh air in. There's just a bed and a table that has, like, uneaten food on it. There are several, like, scribbles on the wall of, like, just like somebody's taken a black marker or a pencil and just scribbled over and over and over again in a circle to make, like, a black blob. And then there is, on the bed, there is an old man who looks probably 60 or 70. He's the one you've seen in the, like, picture on August's desk before. Blonde, he's not going to open his mouth so you wouldn't see his, like, abnormal teeth. Really yellow eyes. He's, like, got an absurd amount of scars on the, like, skin that you can see, like, on his neck and hands. And then sitting next to him, is the guy you've been looking for. It's the exact dude. Extremely, like, almost white blonde hair, really pale. He's got, like, around his nostrils this, like, kind of crust of blood from when he had a nosebleed a couple minutes ago. I'm not going to describe what he looks like again, because I think you already know from the pictures I showed you, but...
and metagaming for me.
Yeah, but, you could listen to the last game and figure it out, but, so, he's sitting on the bed next to his father, just a 17-year-old, mostly human, part giant, part orc, man. What did you roll a natural one for?
Oh, I was just saying, like, how bad, the dice gods hate me this is the game.
Oh, you know they're gonna fuck you over.
Oh my god.
And yeah, rolling a natural 1 on my very first try. Hopefully it just gets it out of the way, but I know better.
Yeah, so he's sitting right there next to this old man who has a crown on, or it's kind of like an iron circlet, not really a crown. But they're just sitting there and they look up at you as you come in, and both Henry and James are wary of the person who is new and is also here. And I think after, like, a moment of silently communicating through, like, sign language, which, the sign language that Henry and August use is, like, much more complex, as though they, like, fully understand what they're doing. And then what King James does is only, like, kind of half that much, as though he's also losing sign language. And so eventually, August and Henry hug this old man goodbye, and he, like, stays with the circlet on for a while, and they all exit into the hallway, and you see King Henry, like, locking the several locks outside of this door again to leave his father inside.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
Are you... Sorry, I want to see... Did he still wear the laurel?
No, not the laurel. August gave the laurel back to Spike.
Okay.
But he's got the crown that Ilmater copied the laurel's enchantment onto.
Oh, okay.
I guess upon meeting them, I'll be like, I suppose you are King James. And I give, an actual formal bow, and be like, Your Majesty, it was, I was part of the team, the group to at least pitch the idea that maybe the laurel, or I guess now the circlet, may at the very least help with your father's condition?
He'll nod and kind of like go for the handshake, and he says, I'm actually King Henry. King James is my father, but don't feel the need to call me your Majesty. Just sir is fine. But he'll shake your hand and everything, and he looks at August and he's like, "Who is this?" Or did you say your name? I'm sorry.
No, my name is Phil Irongrip. Come from a ways south of here. I don't quite remember the journey up here. It appears I have suffered from the disappearing disease, my lord. Excuse me, sir.
He nods and he says, Songcorral too. All I've heard is the bad things about the place, but welcome to Thundersgrem, you'll fit right in. Like, he motions to you being a half-giant, and...
kind of like look at Kara like, the fuck he knows about Songcorral?
He knows. August knows, and so he knows. We refugees, and he likes us. It's fine. And I look at King Henry like, don't worry, Phil is a super intelligent guy, and he will help us. He been very helpful.
August is gonna kind of squint and go, was it supposed to be a secret that you guys were from Songcorral?
No.
With respect, most people don't really leave Songcorral without at least a knife in their back.
Well, King Henry kind of shrugs and he says, well, fear not. We won't go screaming it in the streets or anything, but this is the most highly defended, impenetrable city in the world, and being in the castle, you are in the most defended and impenetrable place inside the city, other than probably Jaeger and Keep. But do not fear for your safety from folks from Songcorral. Just, yeah. But
your reassurance, gives me comfort, sir.
Is that honest?
Honestly, yes,
Okay. Yeah, so Henry says he says, let's go back to the, breakfast room, I guess. August, there was something you needed to tell me. And you guys walk, like, down more and more hallways. You go down several sets of stairs, back to the room you originated in, and, have you listened to the last episode, Thal, or not?
I have not gotten a chance just yet.
Okay, so I'll go through it briefly again, but, Thundersgrem Castle is, though it's extremely old, it's about 900 years old, it's barely beginning to crack because it is so well made. There are, like, no decorations, there are no, like, fancy carvings in the crown molding, like, there's none of that at all. The few kind of art pieces they have, like, just on the walls, are, like, tapestries of Thundersgrem history that, like, artisans have made, and then given to the crown. Like, they don't even commission things, like, people just, like, they know their work's good enough, and so they give it to the crown to be hung in the castle and stuff like that. You guys probably pass a few portraits of, like, previous monarchs or lords of the city or something, just, like, hung on the sparsely decorated walls. And again, it's all gray stone. You pass several of what they call the Black Guard, which are wearing, like, black wyvern leather, like, scale mail armor. Let's see. I had a few notes of things I wanted to tell you. Yeah. So you guys go through, and also, I forgot this. He would have gone back in the room with August, I guess. Or no, he wouldn't have left. He would have stayed in the room with King Henry and James. When you all go into the room, that, like, King James's hospital room, there was also a dog in there. The dog was wearing also the same kind of black wyvern scale mail, and like they all kind of have like a name plate on their armor, kind of like in their rank, and this dog is Sergeant Greybark. And he accompanies Henry as you guys go back to where the breakfast room is. I think Henry would explain it again to you, Fel, that like they have a war room and they have like a conference room, but they never use them. But so yeah, you guys get back to this room on like kind of the outer wall of the castle. It's one of the few rooms that have windows, and you see standing there as you guys kind of get there. There is a young girl, probably 13. She's got like brown hair, like in a braid that goes like from the, like it's like a side braid, like it's braided to go down her shoulder, like in the front of her shoulder. She's got a huge gun, but she's wearing the same black wyvern scale mail armor, but she has the same kind of mithril bracers that Henry does, with meteorite and wyvern teeth in them. And as soon as she sees Henry, she runs up to him and grabs his shoulders, and she's like, "How are you?" And he coughs into his elbow and says, "I'm fine." And she ignores all of you and says, like, "Did you sleep?" And Henry says, "You know I didn't." And she kind of like laughs in his face and says, "If you make me a widow at 14, I'll kill you." And Henry kind of laughs, and they talk about like some things that this girl's planning. You realize that, or no, he'd just call her Marceline, I guess, but he talks to her about some things she's planning, how she's like in charge of you kind of gather from context that she's in charge of the Mechanist Festival this year, or like she's at least a big part in planning it. But she kind of nags Henry about sleeping some more, and like eventually gets him to like agree to go to bed early, which you can kind of gather that he's not going to do that. But he eventually leaves, and like it's really awkward when she hugs him goodbye, both because she's so short, and then like you haven't seen this kind of energy from Henry yet, or I guess you wouldn't have at all, Fel, because you just met the guy. Mm-hmm. But Kari had noticed that he's acting extremely awkward around this girl, and then she eventually leaves though, and has kind of a posse that goes with her of like kind of tall dark figures who are wearing hoods even inside, and also one or two of the regular like black guard are with her, but she eventually leaves.
Can I try to look at the face of the man with the figure with the hooded person?
Or there are there's probably like two of those kind of like hooded figures that they have like, they're all strapped with guns and like daggers and stuff, and they're just kind of wearing black and look menacing. Then there are two who are obviously like employed by the Crown, who are the same kind of blackguard that you've seen. They're basically like the Secret Service.
Right. So they have guns.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning, when you said she have huge guns, though, like, do you mean the arms or like the?
No, like Marceline would have had a pair of like huge pistols, like bigger than even. Have y'all encountered a hand cannon in this game before? I think you have, but just Google a picture of Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. That's what she has.
Right.
But yeah. But so this young girl eventually leaves with her posse of menacing other guards that are with her. I think when Henry realizes that you guys are still standing there, he'll kind of awkwardly say, "Sorry, that's my wife, Queen Marceline," and then he awkwardly walks into the breakfast room again.
Can I give an insight check of how he actually feeling? Like, why he's so awkward? Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like what is the situation here? Okay, insight. Okay, that is a 17.
A 17. You aren't totally clear on you haven't been in Macadia very long, so you don't really know the kind of culture. exactly. You'd know like most of it because it's not that different from Songcorel, but you'd remember that like the Emperor of Songcorel, for example, has like 100 wives, and the youngest one is like 10, and he's like 25, and so for Henry to be 17 and have a wife who's like 13, that's why Henry's so awkward. Or just maybe, I mean, I don't know if I actually don't know if you would know that much because you haven't really. I don't know.
mean, I was just checking, like, is he actually into her? Like, is he?
Oh, okay.
That's what I was getting at.
Right. It's you'd be able to tell that like they're very close friends, and maybe she does like him because but then he's like, girl, you're 13, stop it. Like, we're close friends.
Okay.
Stop.
It's not the gender, it's the age.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, so yeah. Anyway. So you guys get back to the breakfast room, and there are people in here again, like other kind of like secretaries, or maybe there's somebody who's in charge of some kind of something to do in the kingdom, but Henry has them leave kind of again, and he says, so what was this that you had to tell me? Was there something in particular? You mentioned Pan, and he looks like really tired, as you do.
Okay. Fail, you want to do this, or you want me to like go ahead and talk?
I'll go ahead and explain it, because I guess that is more my background than yours. Like
I can help. I can help if you need, help, bro.
And then keep in mind, when Henry has people like clear the room, or just to set the scene for John again, but like, so you're in mostly a bare room with a long table. There's a smaller table to the side that has like coffee fixins, and I think Henry would actually get some coffee and then sit down with you. There's kind of windows to the side that look over Thundersgrem. You can see like the entirety of Smallville, and then about, I think it's 13 miles away. I have to do the math again on my map, but 13 miles away you see Big Town, and then of course the mountains that ring the bowl that Thundersgrem is in. This table probably has like 12 seats at it, but then Henry sits at the head, and then Beck gets you guys to sit near him. And the dog sits on the floor, and then August pulls up like a chair that's like his size, and he would get one for you too, Fel, a chair that's half giant size. Yeah.
Is there a map in this room?
Probably not like on the wall, but Henry would have like a small one in a desk, in the like coffee desk. It's also like a lot of like because they mostly use this room for meetings and not any other rooms, there's like other kind of stationery in here, or like other kind of reference books. But so he'd like go motion for a map, and probably August would go get it.
Okay, I guess looking at the map, I probably see, the layout of where Thundersgrem is compared to, the cold line and all that.
Yeah.
And from here is where I'll start my pitch.
Okay.
Sir Henry, as I've come to understand it, your people and your culture, rightfully so, is wary of magic. Am I too correct?
He says hearing the words "rightfully so" come from a magic user is I'm unused to that. Like, you can see that he's like wary of you because you guys literally just met, but
yeah, I put my hands up in defense and be like, well, I cannot, cast the arcane, anything arcane, binding magic into sword, or, into steel, leather, and stone has its uses for the common folk. It does not require the education and standards necessary for a wizard. I am merely, for lack of a better term, enslaving the magic into the material form.
He nods along, understanding you, but he's still, like, dubious.
I relent, but continue. There has been an accidental discovery, or I guess the proper term would be rediscovery, of a plan set forth by the god Pan, the god of nature, as I am to understand it. His practice, or his worship, is not openly practiced from our homeland. So basically, the plan is to, well, either appease or outright reclaim the lands, trapped behind the cold lines by pushing the cold lines all the way back.
At that, he looks more dubious, and he says, "You said Pan is orchestrating this?"
Pan set forth the plan. As it was explained to me by his clerics and his paladins, most gods take a non-interventionist approach. They let the mortals deal with the mortals', problems.
Sure.
But no, while I have not read the plan specifically myself, the gentleman robot, the construct that provided your father with the laurel for a copy, was the one to read it, and it is a ritual, a magic ritual of grand in scope. It will be huge.
Henry would take this time to cough up more blood.
Can I roll a medicine check to see how that guy's doing?
Yeah, sure.
That'll be 18.
18? Yeah, he's not doing great. You kind of look the guy up and down. He'd be hard to get a hit on because of the kind of armor he's wearing, and he looks kind of sure-footed, but you think that one really good hit would do this guy in.
Sir, do we need to postpone this meeting?
He'll, when he gets a hold of himself, he'll laugh and say, "This is as good as it gets, Mr. What was it? Iron Grip?" Yeah.
Very well, sir. The ritual will require, as I've come to understand it, I have not read over these documents or the ritual itself, so it remains to be seen, but from what I understand, it requires the sacrifice of 10,000 people. Naturally, this abhors me, but we've come to an awkward position where we may have, where we can take action, but is it right to do so?
You see Henry take out a, leather-bound notebook and kind of flip through a few pages, and then he writes something down. And by the way, he's keeping, a near-perfect poker face the entire time he does this. And he kind of flips between a few pages and then back to some, and then writes something else somewhere, and then closes the book and then puts it back, under his arm or in, a pocket. And he says, 10,000 people.
10,000 people.
Well, that's simply not
I am by no means asking you
No.
to sacrifice my own people. Oh, God, no. By whatever deity you worship, no, that is absolutely what's not happening here.
Since I don't worship a deity, I'm the king of Thundersgrem. If you wanted deities, you go to my father or Augith here, who are both champions of gods. No, despite knowing both of them, I am a denialist, thank you very much. While receding the cold lines has potential, Mr. Irongrip and then Miss Warren, and I'm, flattered you came to me with this. The gods do not care what happens to us.
That is almost the same pitch I got from the head cleric of Pan.
She said that about her own god. Oh.
Ironically enough, yes, sir.
I love it when they're self-aware. Right. So, that simply will not happen. Even if it did reverse the cold lines, no, I'm not going to have... Oh yes, King Henry. In the history books, the paragraph about him, he was the son of King James Crethizar. He was very sick as a child. He sacrificed 10,000 people, and then he died. That will not be my paragraph, Mr. Irongrip.
Well, see, that is actually why we came here, sir. Is to avoid that particular sacrificial part.
Oh, to avoid the sacrifices of the 10,000? How do you think I will help with that?
We are asking if King James, or if your father, the former King James, may be able to utilize his bond with the Ethereal Stone, or Ethereum Stone, correct, excuse me, to power that part of the ritual, completely bypassing the blood necessary to expand farmland.
Henry's gonna drum his fingers on the table for a while, and then mop up his nosebleed a little more, and say, I cannot even begin to unpack the potential ecological ramifications of removing the cold line. I'm going to have to do a lot of research, or at least get someone else to do it and then tell me what they find. The trouble with using my father is that I have no idea how it works, and neither does anyone else, and neither does he, because he refuses to use it. Unless he is actively using it in self-defense or in the saving of another person's life. He's been known to be able to empower other people's spellcasting abilities, such as, not using the spell slot. You just touch my father, and then whatever the Ethereum Stone is gives you more magic. That's why he's so highly sought after, and why why we've thwarted probably 100 kidnap attempts over the years. And that's why Horcourt Gorefield came after him. It's why the wizards who were here in his childhood were here. He is extremely against using it, and has promised it to Ilmater when he dies, to empower the god to whatever degree, which, fortunately, Ilmater is, I'm biased because my father is the champion of Ilmater, so obviously. But, as far as I can tell, Ilmater is the only god who actually gives a shit about human suffering, so that's the only one I can kind of stand. And he motions to August in kind of a half, double-sided apology, like, soon's alright, I guess. And August, I don't expect anything less. And, he says, so, having Ilmater have the Ethereum Stone is the best kind of thing. Because if the mortals like us had it, God knows what we'd do with it. Maybe Istis would, the god of fate. I don't know. I'm not gonna ask her, though. But I hope you folks understand. The possibility of having my father do this, while that would be fine, if you can talk to him, which no one can. But even if you got him to do this, the amount of research I would need to do to justify this to my people and not have an entire catastrophe of our, little biome home ecosystem. And it kind of occurs to Henry, like, it gets hot enough in here to make a bubble of heat. If we make it not as cold out there, are we just going to boil the cities we've lived in for the last 1,300 years? Or will we be forced to leave because it'll get so hot in this bowl without it being so cooled all the time by the outside winds? Or will it be fine? Who knows? We're going to have to do some research, folks. But even if that does come up favorably, you will have to convince my father to use the Ethereum Stone, which he has not even let August experiment with. Right.
That is fair, sir, but all we ask is the opportunity to try.
Sure. I don't even know how to begin to get our librarians to research something like that without telling them I'm considering killing 10,000 people.
The whole point of this is to avoid it, sir. If we have to cross that, if that is all that is necessary, we might not even go through with it.
Right.
At the very least, we would not bring this trouble to your doorstep.
Of course. I'll tell
there are others, and I kind of make the whole hand symbol right quick, who are much more willing to sacrifice those people than you are. We're hoping to avoid that.
So I know they'd kill that many. They killed that many last year. The year before that. Damn. He kind of mumbles something about Golgari. And August kind of looks at him like in a warning kind of thing, and Henry's like, ugh, makes that kind of a face, and he says, now my question is that if my people do not acquiesce, are you folks bound to complete this, or does it end here?
We'll try to find alternatives, really.
Just because the problem...
That's the whole point of our venture.
The problem I'm facing now is if I find out that I don't want you to do this, and I'm not certain that I even have the inkling of you wanting to, because God knows what it'll do to us in the future. If I let you go, and without my consent you do this anyway, and it still affects me unfavorably, do you understand where I'm going?
I understand, sir. But the Panites? The Panians? What would be the word for them?
Paninis.
Paninis. The Paninis! The Paninis are already moving. I think we've slowed them down by them waiting on us, but there's only so long they will actually wait. Now we have maybe even a couple of years to work on this. So it's not like we're strapped for time. However, we're trying to find an alternative before they resort to doing whatever they, believe is necessary.
Let me roll something really fast. Yeah, you see his nosebleed get worse, and he looks kind of pale, and he says, I need, just from you two, not the folks in Golgari, just from you two, would you complete this task if I wished against it?
No. Wait, you wish against it?
If I said, this is a bad thing for us, we shouldn't do it, would you try to do it anyway?
Me personally, probably not.
I cannot do any magic.
It's me, the DM, asking. Is that the truth from both of you?
Honestly,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
I can't do anything.
Roll me persuasion, each of you.
Persuasion. Oh! That's the 25, baby.
That's a 13.
Okay. You roll for August. Okay.
What?
You see Henry give you both a paranoid squint. Or let me roll for... Hold on. Okay. You see Henry give you a paranoid squint as though... as though he rolled low, because he did, on insight. Because even though you guys are trying to persuade him, he's, like, actively choosing not to believe you just on principle, is basically what that roll meant. But then August, like, kind of looks at Henry and gives him a very pointed look, and Henry softens a little bit, and the dog, Sergeant Greybark, like, kind of makes a whining dog noise, and Henry looks at him, and the dog gives Henry a very pointed look, and then Henry looks like, almost exhaustedly resolved, as though he's, like, giving in on something, and he says, well, very well, I will have to do research on the effects of drastically changing weather patterns. So, if you'll all excuse me, and the moment he says, if you'll all excuse me, the kind of entire castle shakes a little. Like the cup of coffee that Henry's been drinking, and you've only been sitting here for a couple minutes, but like he's already like refilled it twice. Like just this man chugs coffee more than he chugs anything else, because he's tired all the time. Or you might be led to believe that's because why. But so, you know, it's in every Jurassic Park movie, there's always a glass of water that wiggles. So that happens, and like the window panes on this window of this room kind of rattle a little, and Henry like freezes, holding his cup of coffee, and then slowly turns to the window, and you guys can see outside that there is a small plume of like dust or smoke on the other side of the cauldron. And the cauldron's what they call the bowl that Thundersgrem's kind of in. And Henry just sits there for a moment, looking at the cloud, and he kind of mumbles to himself, God damn it, D'Angelo.
Wait.
Yeah.
Do I see this?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
You see all this, yeah.
I was like, oh, what happened? I feel, and I hear, what happened?
You see Henry down his entire glass of coffee, and you see August and Greybark like also look confused. And Henry says, I think I already know what happened, but I think they're gonna tell us in about, I'm gonna give it 5 minutes. Anybody got a watch? 5 minutes? Do any of you have a watch?
No, but I do have King Mind, which, you know, lets me keep track of time perfectly, so.
Okay. Y'all want to make an insight check?
Yes.
That is a 9.
Okay.
Oh, insight. 21.
At 21. What was your total again, Fel?
A 9.
Okay. Yeah, so Kara, you notice like an almost manic look of like joy in Henry's eye. Like it's as though he's like never been angrier in his life, but he's smiling. And he stands up and like decisively walks over to the door and opens it again and lets everyone who's been in the hallway in, and it's like very obviously weird that he's opening the door. But he has everyone come in, and he pretends like nothing is wrong. People ask him about, like, government stuff, like they've been waiting on to ask him as he's been gone to go see King James. And he answers with this perfectly, like, about to murder someone look on his face. And everyone's kind of unnerved by it, but they don't ask any questions. And he probably drinks, like, another cup and a half of coffee before you guys, or before anything else happens. Are you guys doing anything?
Just sitting back out of the way, just waiting on whatever he's,
Yeah, I'm shocked, but I don't know. I mean, I'm confused, but I don't know.
He's the boss here, man.
Okay. You probably hear people whispering, like, are you just maybe... So you'd hear someone whisper about, are they doing blast mining again? I thought we said we weren't doing that anymore, and the people are, like, concerned about it. And about... Or I guess you'd see Og if, like, y'all want to make an Arcana check?
Yeah, I can try, but I'm not good at it. Nope.
You said dirty 20 even though you rolled a fucking 11?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you'd see August doing the scrying spell. Like he's just stopping and like focusing in on something, and there are people in the room that are obviously uncomfortable with him doing magic right fucking there, but they don't stop him. And I guess eventually, somebody would come in as Henry is like, he sat down again and is writing in a journal as somebody else is giving him some kind of like a small report. And he says, like there's somebody who's in the Red Guard, and they come in and they say, sir, may I speak to you? Like they're very concerned about something. And Henry still has this like kind of almost crazy look in his eye. And he says, what is it? What is it, Captain? What can I do for you? And he says, my lord, there's been a cave-in. And everyone else in the room, like, freezes in shock because they didn't notice whatever explosion that was because they were, like, out of the, like, room. Because this room is one of the few that are against the, like, outside wall. And Henry closes his eyes, and the nosebleed that has been steadily getting worse the whole time he's been kind of sitting here, he like wipes that away, and he says, how many are dead? And the Red Guard says, sir, we don't know, it only just happened. And Henry asks, like, are they doing the SEER, which you can assume is like some kind of acronym. And he says, I'm reporting to you at the moment, my lord. And Henry, sitting down and wiping his nosebleed again, drinks another cup of coffee, and he says, is it in Sector 12C? And this Red Guard looks like really confused, like, sir, how did you... My lord, how did you know that already? And he nods and he says, Fiera is a dead man. And everyone else in the room who's, like, watching this like a tennis match, kind of says it in their heads as this Red Guard man, like, asks, like, what? What, sir? And Henry starts to list off, like, a bunch of commands to people around the room. He says, go get Rollfish, tell her I want all the correspondences and minutes between meetings between me and mining for the last 4 months. I want them copied, notarized, sent to Catrain. And Henry points to somebody else and he says, I want you to get a judge, you choose which. Get a subpoena, copy of the import records. We need to compare the amount that they had they had imported before I caught wind of it, and told them how much they have now. And then he like lists off more. He talks about sending somebody to the D'Angelo mansion, and like other kind of things. It's as though he's planning like a courtroom kind of proceeding. It's all law jargon and stuff. And then Henry finally says, go have my horse prepared. And somebody else runs off and does that. And then the room is empty again as he sent everyone to go do things. Yeah. And at that moment, August would probably come out of the scrying spell and looks extremely concerned. And Henry motions to you all, and, he motions for you to follow him. And I guess Sergeant Greybark and August, and then do you all, I assume you all come?
We might as well.
Okay. Yes.
He is the king here.
Yeah. Henry casually explains as he walks down the hallway, down a few more sets of stairs, looking more and more pale by the second, even though he hasn't lost the crazy kind of angry look in his eye, and he hasn't lost the nosebleed either, and he starts coughing more blood, but is not deterred by it in the slightest, at least, as far as his motivation goes. He says, I already know what happened. Fire D'Angelo, my uncle, has been trying to convince me to use pure nitroglycerin for mine blasting in Sector 12C. I told him it's too dangerous. We tested it in Sector S4 and that worked, but 12C is directly below 19A, and he told me I don't know anything about mining and that his family's been doing it for over 1,000 years, and I told him, yeah, my father uncovered how much your family's been responsible for the deaths of over 140,000 people, which is how many people have died in our mines for the last 1,300 years. He told me to trust him, and I told him to fuck off. And then we lost 30 people in rock slides this year. We have not now, nor will we ever do blast mining on that large of a scale as we would need to use for 12C. He told me I would eat my words when it worked, and I told him not to do it again. And he has, as I have suspected he would. He has done it anyway. And now we have to arrest his ass before his people can destroy evidence and claim that it was a regular cave-in. And Lord Jaegerin is out of town, which makes that much harder. But, let's go. And he still has that weirdly happy look on his face. And August asks, about the cave-in. Do you want me to go get your father? And Henry's like, yeah, probably. We're gonna need him. And August runs off to go get King James. For what reason, you don't know. I'm going to kind of go through this fast because it's mostly, I don't know what you guys would do. If you want to do something, tell me. But, so it all kind of happens very quickly. You guys are taken down, or Henry, I guess you follow Henry down to, Henry and Sergeant Greybark, the dog, down to, the castle stables, which are outside of the castle. And Henry is, barking orders at people as he goes, and they are, kind of shocked to see him, and everyone's kind of in a panic because news has traveled very fast that there's been a cave-in, and, which doesn't happen that often, you can gather, because people look really super worried, but you eventually get to the kind of stables, and, I guess because you're with them, Fel, and you're too big, they actually get some kind of a cart or something to ride down in. It's about, I think, 5 miles down. You go through a certain, there's a sloping part in the main crater of Thundersgrem. There's a main crater in the center. Then there's a kind of flat part that the cities and the agricultural kind of stuff and manufacturing districts are in, and then it ascends from there, where it's more mountains. It's just kind of sloping crater with a deeper hole in the center, then flat part, then mountains above that. I need to upload a picture of my map to the internet somehow, I guess, but because it's whack to describe without looking at it. Anyway, and I guess, Fel, because it's your first time really in the city, you would notice, and I don't know if I really mentioned it before last time, but Kara, you'd notice too, there are, you've been in cities, you know what they look like. There are almost, no elves or dwarves in, Thundersgrem, at all. It's giants, orcs, humans, or mixes of both. I think in this kind of panic, you'd see a few drow that the DM, will tell you, are basically just refugees from Darktoe from when you guys banished Vecna in Campaign 1. But you wouldn't really know that. You guys probably pass on the edge of Smallville. There's, all the homes are built to scale. Big Town has big houses, Smallville has little houses. And it's there's even, the only family of gnomes in all of Thundersgrem have a house in Smallville that's, 2 stories, but it's the size of a 1-story normal house. And I guess in the panic you wouldn't really notice the other thing that I told you, but, that I wanted to tell you, but, yeah, you go through, about 5 miles where there's a bunch of other people, on the road also to where this cave-in has happened, and as you get there, there are people, literally with shovels and like wheelbarrows and stuff, moving stuff out of the way. Let me describe this more. There's about a couple hundred people standing outside of this place. Some of them look like miners, clearly. There are some that are obviously like guards, because they're wearing the red scale mail and getting people out of the way. There are several like blackguard that have come with Henry to guard his ass, but then August is also here, or no, I think August would just teleport here. And everyone kind of goes, huh, but it's an emergency, so they're going to ignore that for now. He'll appear with King James, and then at the mouth of this kind of mining thing, you would notice that there's several elevators. Or as you go into this pit, I think let me look at the elevation separation just to get, it's a difference in about 1,000 feet. So you go down this slope to basically a wall that's about 1,000 feet tall, and there are elevators running up and down it to move rocks, basically, as they mine things out and then take them to the manufacturing district of town. And these huge rock elevators, some of them look broken, as some of part of this elevator, which goes even it bends down at a right angle to go into this mine shaft, it's on a rail, kind of how a roller coaster is, but upside down. Anyway, so this is kind of broken, as though in the cave-in this was also damaged, and so people are having to dig by hand to try to get to where this cave-in is. You see Henry walk over to some people, and then you see there's even a couple people, and then though magic is frowned upon, it is allowed in certain situations to prevent loss of life or loss of limb, etc. And so they're druids that just happen to be here from somewhere, casting Move Earth. And you see August leads up James to one of them, and James is holding his fingers in his ears and kind of shaking a little bit. But then James freely offers his hand to one of the druids, and as soon as she takes it, or he'd probably put it on his shoulder because that's how magic works. Anyway, so he puts his hand on his shoulder after he gets permission from her, and you see the Move Earth spell that she was using is she's moving probably 20 times what she was, and people even have to move out of the way as whatever James is doing is supercharging whatever magic she has. And you see Henry walk up to somebody who's in probably the fanciest clothes you've seen in Thundersgrem, because they wear generally extremely boring clothes because that's just how they roll. You see him walk up to this person and kind of yell at them, and he has the same kind of crazy look in his eye. And at first he's like, "You're a fucking dead man. I told you not to do this. I don't give a shit that you're my cousin. You're going to die for this because I told you not to do it." And this person's arguing with them all cocky and stuff. And you see, I'm trying to get away from scripting so many damn cutscenes because I have a problem doing that. But
that's fine.
That's why I'm trying to summarize. But so you see Henry's there's other people that are also kind of look like this person who Henry's yelling at, that are probably at least cousins of this person. You can probably gather that this is a lord of Thundersgrem, and other people who are not helping with the dig, they're staying out of the way. Oh my god, Lord D'Angelo somehow involved in it. Rumors are already flying. There's somebody with that's, I guess they look like Piper from Fallout 4, but they're a half-orc, and they're taking notes on the side, and a red guard is trying to get them to move out of the way, get away from earshot, but they're no, we're able to do this. It's the scene is kind of chaos. And then you eventually see Henry take some resolve, and the crazy look fades from his eyes a tiny bit, and he says, "You know what? I could have you executed right where you stand, because there are about 500 people that are under there, and you say I don't know about mining? I know that. I know you killed several people today. We'll find out how many when they finish digging them up. But we're gonna do this above board. You know what? I may be in charge of who gets executed around here, but it's going to be A, you, and then B, no debate." And he kind of has some of the Red Guard arrest whoever this is, and several other people who are here, he also goes to another person who's like another captain in the Red Guard, and he like points that we need to find somebody else who I know is an accomplice, and like he's the supply man. And then he goes to somebody who's like another kind of mine person, and he says, when you find the base of this, there is probably still going to be nitroglycerin, so A, be careful, B, as soon as you find that, have the Red Guard take it for evidence. And then Henry kind of like sits down on a stool, even though hundreds of people are looking at him, and he just looks really pale and kind of shakes a little and wipes the nosebleed. Are you guys doing anything?
Just watching this happen and just like taking mental notes of, you know, the character of Henry, all that good stuff.
Okay.
So he said this is his cousin, right? Uncle? A cousin?
Yeah, so, maybe make me a... See, I missed 3.5 because it had a skill called Gather Information. I guess make me a... What would it
Investigation?
be? Yeah, investigation or perception.
Okay, that's a 10. Investigation. Oh, that's not good. Let's see, perception, right? I can't do perception.
Yeah, you could do this too, fella, if you want.
17.
Okay. That's probably enough, just from Kara. But, so you'd be able to gather just from, like, the whispers of people around you that the D'Angelo family, which is, like, the lords in charge of mining, are related to Queen Christine, who is Henry's mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. And so, just King Henry is dead set on executing his own cousin, because his cousin apparently fucked up real bad. But yeah.
Okay, and so King Henry know about this and forbid it, but he do it anyways. Is that what happened, right?
Yeah, basically. So this one guy, Fyra D'Angelo, who's like the Lord of Mining at the moment, like the Lords in Thundersgrem are like, instead of being in charge of a separate like section of the territory or something, because Thundersgrem is only probably, I think I said 13 miles across. I don't know if it's across or radius. I have to do my math again. But so because there's like only a small area to begin with, they put them in charge of like different parts of industry, like education or mining or farming or something like that. And so the one who's in charge of mining, which is one of the biggest kind of shares of what Thundersgrem does, period, he has wanted to use nitroglycerin to use like blast mining instead of like mining by hand, like just digging. But Henry was like, that's too dangerous, don't fucking do it. And so the guy's like, I'm gonna do it anyway, and you'll be eating your words when it's successful. And Henry said again, don't do that, it's dangerous. But then the guy did it anyway, and a cave-in happened, just like Henry said. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Alright, this is bad. I'm just gonna stand there and watch, I guess. I'm not gonna do anything about their family business.
Okay. And also, this is a king running the show. If you step in his way, you know, as a foreigner, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Right.
Eventually, King James, like, stops as they, like, he goes, like, into this mine as they are doing Move Earth to move stuff out. You see people running in behind them to put in, like put back the support structures that were, like, broken when they were doing it, which is still dangerous because they have no idea, like, what the kind of rock structure is now that it's been disturbed by this cave-in. So, like, everyone who's kind of going in is going in with the assumption of another cave-in could happen. But through the night, people work and digging out, and probably, like, this happened at probably 1 or noon, and probably at, like, 4 or 5 in the afternoon, they'd bring the first, like, dead body out. Stuff like that. And Henry was just kind of sitting back and watching and talking to the people. like, as the kind of arrests happen for the responsible parties, he's, like, you know, giving orders of what to do with them. Then there's even, like, still, as this is happening, other people from, like, other things that, like, they're in charge of in town, like, come to him, like, hey, by the way, also, what about this problem? And he's like, great. But eventually, they get to, like, where, they find a couple live people, and their families rejoice. They find more dead folks. Yeah, eventually they get everyone out, and eventually King James comes back with a couple of druids that he was empowering, and they still look, like, exhausted, but eventually the Red Guard go in, and they come back out with, like, a box that you assume is the, like, nitroglycerin, like, casings or whatever. Eventually, people are taken to the hospital, and probably 6 or 7 at night, this is kind of over, which happens much faster than it usually would because they had the druids who happened to be in town to be able to help. And even though they don't like that they used magic, they probably did save more lives doing it that way, so whatever. But eventually, King Henry would say something to August, and then August would eventually teleport back with James to the castle. Then probably 5 minutes later, he'd come back to you guys. I assume you're standing in the same spot. And he comes to you and he says, I think that things are going to be very busy for the next few days. Do you guys want to stay with me? Or do you want to stay in the castle? There's also, like, exactly one tavern in town that, like, has an inn kind of a thing. What would you want to do?
We wouldn't wish to get in your way. I would prefer to stay at a tavern. That way, you know, you wouldn't have to worry about us. And we wouldn't, you know, insult you by, you know, with cultural differences.
So that's not... I mean, that's kind of expected. Being from... You know, it's bad enough when Southerners from Acadia come here. Just imagine how far south you guys are from. It's probably expected that you probably don't want to be telling people that you're from Sonkarol around here.
Yeah,
just randos.
I agree. We're gonna stay in a tavern.
In addition with that, we would very much like to have an audience with you later, if you know. But of course, when you have the availability for it, sir.
You're talking to August at the moment, but...
Oh, shit.
No,
yeah.
That was August, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
At the moment, it feels as though King Henry has forgotten about you. No, August said something to... Henry said something to August, and then August came over to you after he took King James back to the castle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd very much like to speak with the king. When he has time, of course, because, you know, it looks like he's gonna have his hands full.
August's gonna nod. He says, yeah, probably tomorrow, at least.
But anyway, yeah, we'll stay in the tavern in town. We very much appreciate you bringing us here, and I guess watching him work. It's been weird being a spectator and not a participant in these kind of affairs.
He says, I mean, they're probably gonna have some trouble tracking down that, oh goodness, what's his name? Or August would know, hold on. I don't. Hold on. There's a guy named Zilge, who's the one who got the nitroglycerin in town in the first place, and apparently they can't find that guy. So depending on how good you guys are at detectiving, maybe you can find him before the trial happens, which will happen, you know, within the week, because Henry's in arms about it. And August will tell you, or maybe you'd be able to count, just like watching from the sidelines, like 50 people died today. And so...
Well, we did, you know, we are good at finding things by complete accident. I mean, look how we ended up with the Evergreen Laurel and all that.
So that's true, and I'll be honest with you, the guy's probably still in Thundersgrem. They sealed the Vix Highway the second the cave-in happened, because, you know, any kind of geological disturbance is likely to bring everything down. So they've kind of paused the highway, and then the only other way out is across the winter wastes, which I doubt that man would survive. So he's probably still here somewhere, hiding in a barrel or something behind an alley. Who knows? We'll find him eventually. Henry has prohibited me from using magic to find him because he says that's unfair for, he doesn't want any doubt cast on the trial by any kind of anything interfering. And then, do y'all want to make an insight check?
5.
Check. Sorry, I turned off my microphone.
You're fine.
Did you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Insight check. That is a 15.
15. Kara, you can gather that August is kind of bitter about Henry not letting him use magic to track this guy down, because you figure it would be extremely easy for August to do so. But Henry's reasoning is that he wants the trial to be indisputable when he executes this guy, so he doesn't want magic involved in any way, because people are going to use that to be like, oh, you used magic, it's not fair. So, like, for judicial process. But then August is insinuating, if you guys are able to use magic to find him, I would appreciate you doing it. That's the kind of insinuation you get.
Okay. I'm going to tell that to Phil.
Okay. Yeah, August would kind of point you in the direction of the Blue Lily, and he says, or he'd, take out a pocket, and he's like, these are Thundersgrem coins, don't worry about paying me back. And he gives you, a couple of gold each in Thundersgrem coins, which are worth a tiny bit more than, regular Mercadia coins are worth.
Ooh.
And they have, the symbol of the city, like a wyvern skull, kind of pressed into them. Yeah. And, a mountain on the other side, probably, because that's a Thundersgrem thing.
Nice.
Then he says, yeah, so just, on the western side of Big Town, it looks like a barn. So just go in there, they'll sort you out. And does y'all need anything from me?
Nope, that's about it. I guess. If we were to, spot a wandering lord who's wanted by the crown, what does he look like?
Right. I'm just gonna tell you, he's not really a lord. He's just a guy who works for him. But yeah, he's a red-haired half-orc, which is kind of unique. So.
Well, considering I've only just recently discovered what half-orcs really are, I think it'll be a wondrous discovery.
Oh yeah, that is the first time. Or I guess you would assume in Goldreed, but yeah.
Half-orc? Didn't we find the skull of a half-orc?
Yeah, you left it in August's lab.
Yeah. That sounds fun. And then I will tell Fel, hey, if we found it, we might have, some favor from the king.
At the very least, we can have an audience with them again.
Yeah. So, who are we gonna beat up to get information?
I would highly doubt.
Do you guys go to the Blue Lily, or do you discuss some more as the crowd dissipates, or?
I look at, August, and I kind of gesture to my rifle. I'm like, is this going to be an issue?
Oh yeah. You would notice that probably half the people here, unless they were actively working in the mines, people who rushed here to see if they could come help, about half of them have guns.
Yeah, but mine's enchanted.
What is it enchanted with again? It's
+2.
+1, right? Or +2? All I can tell you, he's yeah, so enchanted weapons are fine as long as they're just enchanted to be more accurate or whatever, or enchanted to cut better. I mean, don't get in a duel with it because it's unfair, and it's illegal to duel anyone who works for the government. And about half people do, or more than half now, I'd say. But So probably don't duel anyone. Not that I think you're into that, but just, if you have a magic weapon, don't. Also, if you're saving someone's life, you can cast magic on them. Otherwise, don't. And then also, or I guess since you're already in here, we're not going to go through the gate thing again unless you just really want to. And I think Kara could tell you the things that you, John, kind of already know about their legal system because they mentioned it on the way in. But, like the things you can get executed for, and that the king's the only one who could sign an execution order. And then, he says, what kind of magic stuff do you have? Other than
I could read it on your head.
He says, yeah, so don't do that. In view of anyone, at least. Like, do you have, like a wand of fireballs or some crazy thing like that?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I believe in machinery more than I do magic.
Right.
Just need a power source.
He says, yeah, just as long as you don't, you're not doing it in the street or the middle of the tavern, you do it in your room or something, and that's fine, but just, yeah, okay.
Sound like a plan.
Says, I'll come get you guys, when this kind of blows over. If you happen to run into someone who's a red-headed half-orc, come find me, etc. Tell the police, whatever. The Red Guard. He says, but I'll keep in touch. I'm probably going to bring Garfield here for the first time next week, since this has happened, but soon. Says, I'll catch y'all later. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And he leaves.
No, that solves nothing.
Or what were you looking to...
Well, he don't do anything I wouldn't do, and he's been teleporting and shit.
Right, yeah. People put up with it just because it's him, but that's the only... Because it's him and it was a life or death situation, that's the only...
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you guys do now?
Do we look for this guy?
For the very least, let's drop off our stuff. Get a room.
Okay. We can go to the tavern and then maybe I can get some information.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows, maybe the guy's going out there.
Okay, so you guys go to the Blue Lily?
Yes.
Alright. Yeah, it's on near the entrance of town, but on the kind of big town side of the entrance. And it's huge, it's like a barn, it's a mostly stone and metal building, as most buildings are because wood is so rare, especially here. And you roll up, and it's, there's not really doors or windows, like the bottom floor is almost kind of open. The walls are only there as structural supports when needed, and you can see the walls they fold back in as though everything was a door, so they can open up everything in here. And you immediately walking in, you see a guy who's and again, the ground floor in this place is probably 25 feet high. It's really, really tall.
So almost warehouse tall.
Yeah, and there's a guy who literally is probably 20 feet tall, and he's sitting outside of the tavern, and just there's a bar built into the outside wall where people who are even too tall to come there. There's one guy, only one, who's too tall to come inside, and so he sits outside. They're just kind of on a rock, and they bring something to him, and he drinks all of it, and then kind of chills there talking to shorter people. But there are all manner of, mostly, I guess if you were to notice that kind of thing, there are less humans here, but there are still some. And this is, again, the only bar in town that's like, big town is built for giants, Smallville is built for human-sized or half-orcs or whatever, but then the Blue Lily is built for both. So, like, every other, like, a half the tables in here, it's not, like, separated, like, they're intermixed, but some of the tables are probably, 7 feet tall, and some of them are only 3 or 4, and the chairs are the same kind of proportions. There's a tall section of the bar, and there's a short section of the bar, so you can order either one you want. And then there are, of course, like, stairs to go upstairs, and, like, every other stair is, like, wider, as though it was made for a wider foot, so people who are taller can just skip the small steps, and people who are short can take all of them. Yeah.
Nice. That's a nice touch.
It's kind of hopping. There are people in here. There's not really music, but there are a lot of people in here, and people seem kind of, discussing something. You might even recognize a person or two from the cave-in site, dig back out, whatever. People are gossiping up a storm, as you do when there's nothing else to do in your town because it's, 200 miles from the nearest other town and there's nothing else to do. So, what would you guys do?
I guess go up to the guy who looks like he's running the place.
Okay. Yeah, he's a full, like, fire giant, but he's running the bar, and...
Oh, fire giant running a bar.
Yeah. He's
wow.
Yeah. Not the bartender, but, like, he's going, like, table to table, asking folks how they're doing and that kind of thing.
A manager.
Manager, yes.
Yeah.
He kind of goes to you guys, or I think, let me roll for him to see if he'd look at you, Kara, and go, "You new in town, or what?"
Oh, you know it, honey. I mean, no.
Or I guess, no, I haven't been doing their accent right this whole time. He says, I don't know, it's gonna sound stupid doing it now, having not done it the entire game. Like, art thou a traveler to this city? And his voice is much deeper than I can make mine, but... Because I think fire giants are like 15 feet tall, right? Let me look.
I think they're 15 to 20 feet tall, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's probably like 18 feet tall.
I'm gonna pretend like I have some exotic accent to talk to him.
Okay. I mean, the San Corellian accent is a little notable. Most people from, like, Macadia have either, like, a southern or, like, an eastern United States accent, and then, San Corel's is more, like, TV English,
That's fun.
Yeah.
I didn't think about accent. Now that you said it, I was like, oh.
No, it's fine.
Accent. I'm gonna be like, we are new here, but we just want to find a place to stay.
Says, well, you've come to the only place, or I guess as you say we, do you kind of motion to Fel, or?
Yeah, we.
They'd look at you, Fel, and go, "You're not from here? Are you visiting and returning?"
More of a business trip from the south, you see.
So, we don't get a lot of half giants that come from somewhere else. Most of them are just from here. Interesting. But he's like, well, if you're looking for a place to stay, this is the only place to stay. So I'll get you a room. And it's gonna cost, like, I think 3 Thundersgrem silver, which is like, I think it's like $30. Yeah. And Fel, probably for the first time in your life, you would be greeted with a bed that your feet do not hang off of.
I don't know if I'll wake from sleep, I'll be able to finally get a good one.
Right, because you're so used to... But unless you made a bed for yourself that was your size back in San Corel, you would not have, as of yet in Acadia, slept in a bed that was big enough for you.
Nah, just standard issue cots.
Yeah.
Which are too short for, a giant and too narrow for a dwarf.
Right.
Is it nice? Is this like the bed here is nice?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, a high-class place or anything, but it's clean, it's relatively comfortable, there's virtually no decorations because you're in Thundersgrem, again, but, everything's clean, everything's well made, there's, like, a lock on the door. What, are you looking for anything specific, or just a general impression?
No. I would just look around on the bed. Is there a place to I mean, we have to hide some stuff, so.
No, we don't. We just, store stuff in a room before, we go back out.
Okay.
Hide makes it sound like we're doing something illegal.
I was saying,
You're right.
Are what you're planning on leaving here like just your adventurer stuff, like your bag of rope or whatever, or like you leaving like the Book of Pan here?
Well, the Book of Pan's with August.
Oh, you actually gave it to him. Okay.
Yeah, it's all in that bag of holding I gave him.
He would have let you keep it. The only reason he was going to take it was because the guys at the gate would have taken it, but then he decided against bringing you to the gate in the first place. So.
Because it got Red Rover and all that in there, so. And, all my tools and shit I've been using for the fantasy AT&T, so.
The slates of far text?
Yeah.
So do you give him the book or not?
Yeah, I already gave him all that.
Okay. You gave him...
Wait, I didn't tell him the book was in there.
Did you give him the book or everything?
Everything. In the bag of holding.
Right. Okay.
So he doesn't know necessarily what's in there, only that there is magical shit in there.
Right. Okay. I mean, he would have told you, like, the kind of rules they have. Do you need me to tell you, John, them? Or,
I need a receipt for every little thing?
No, it's... So... There are certain things that they won't take, like, things that are harmless. So tier 1 is things that are harmless but useful, like bags of holding, or like, rings of warmth. Tier 2 is stuff like an enchanted sword, like it's just a +1 or +2 or whatever. Stuff that could possibly be dangerous, but is also kind of just a technological advancement. It's like more kind of complicated stuff, but it's still relatively harmless, like, I think there's like a cube of instant fortress or something. If you deploy it and there's like magically a defensible position there, that would be considered like a higher tier thing that could be dangerous but isn't specifically meant to be dangerous. Then there are tier 3, which is like, a wand of fireballs, or like a wand of mind control, like that you could cast Charm Person with or something. Those things that are made to either manipulate or bring harm, specifically made to do that. Then there's tier 4, which is like, the Eye of Vecna and stuff like that. Or possibly, depending on what the ruling of the day is, like the Laurel, because it's made by a god. Although, even though it's made by a god, it's not particularly dangerous, so it's a kind of a toss-up on that one. Knowing that, would that change what you give him?
Yeah, it's no problem getting him all that stuff simply because, like, hey, I don't want to be, it'd be best if, whatever I'm working on stays, hidden, stays locked up for now. Simply because of the nature of what I do and all that.
Okay.
I don't tell him what's in there, I just ask him politely not to open it.
Sure. Yeah, he'll take it, he'll promise not to open it. It's about 6-7 p.m. What are you guys up to?
I'm gonna go down to the bar and trying to talk to as many people as I can to find out what is the person who can what did you call it? The chemical?
The what? Oh, nitroglycerin.
The person who can nitroglycerin. Yeah.
Okay.
I would go around.
Yeah,
and,
the redheaded. Yeah, the redheaded orc.
Yeah, where can I find that person? Do they hear anything?
Okay. Yeah. So there are people all around this bar.
Sorry.
That's fine. Are you guys
I
good?
did not mute.
Yeah, I guess I go down to the bar and while I'm getting dinner, I'd ask him about it. Like,
Okay. Who's moving furniture?
oh, sorry.
Okay, that's you.
Sorry, I was looking for a patch.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. Or actually, but since you said you had to go at 9, let's go ahead and call it here, just to have a nice, clean thing. If
Yeah.
it's alright.
Yeah, that is A-okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, cool.
Well, good luck to you guys tomorrow.
I'll talk to you later, Pip, and Bailey, I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you in the morning, bud. Yeah.
Good luck to you two.
Yeah.
Sounds like an exhausting day tomorrow for you two.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you for the
Bye.
game.
Bye. Hey, it's Bailey Ford, your Dungeon Master. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cowboys and Illithids. I would like to thank our regular players, Charlotte, John, Matt, Hip, and John. Hip also drew our cover art, and the background music is from tabletopaudio.com. Please share the show if you liked it, and feel free to pose questions or comments to us on social media. You could find us on Twitter at @CIllithids, and on Tumblr with the Cowboys and Illithids or CAI podcast hashtag. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in a few days.